function again, but this time I'm doing it in horizontal mode as opposed to vertical mode. It's interesting that they recommend vertical mode when you actually go in to try and start live. I think that's because they post it in certain places that will show it better in vertical, so I just thought I'd just do this, flip the camera around a little bit so you can all see what I'm seeing. I think this is better for walking around horizontal. Just completed my daily vlog video. I'm going to go back and edit that. Excuse me. Yeah, just had a little break in my walk here. I thought I'll just stop, get some snack, and then head back towards the hotel. It's maybe 6 o'clock or so, I'm not sure. Have a look. Interesting. Apple Watch there's on pause. I'm doing a workout on my Apple Watch, walking. I think this looks really cool actually, the image coming across. It's really nice in horizontal mode. All the bikes there, people stopping for something to eat, either on the way home or they've already been home and they're just popping back out again for something to eat. But it seems like a busy evening. It's a Friday. There's a lot of people will have a weekend. There's still a lot of people work out here 6 days a week, so Saturday can be a working day for a lot of people, or at least a half working day. But I suppose they'll come and start their weekend. Just coming up to one of these golf carts. It's quite interesting. I've mentioned this a few times because you do come across them in Lào Cai quite a lot. Golf carts being used as like almost taxis. You can jump on board and pay a fee. I think it's quite a good idea. Obviously they're battery, so they're not giving off any fumes, and probably better for the environment in that case. Yeah, I like it in this horizontal mode. It's just a bit harder to hold your phone. When you're walking around in vertical mode as you would normally hold your phone, it's easy to hold. I haven't got a handheld gimbal or a handheld a selfie pole of any sort with me today, or I would hold it in that, so it's slightly more awkward filming it in this orientation, but it's interesting. Some guys playing football over here on the park. It's also where they do the kids' cars, the little radio control cars. Various different play areas being set up for this evening. We'll get busier later on. There's some footballers there. They love their football in Vietnam, really keen on it. Every kid pretty much plays football, and as they get older they continue on playing. There he goes. Let's see if he gets a goal. Oh, well done. Interesting. Oh, nearly. No goal though, huh? I was about to say they ain't no Man United, but Man United are playing rubbish at the moment. It's terrible. Not a big fan. I tell you what, I was watching a little bit this afternoon as the Live Golf Championships, or the Live Golf League as they call it, from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Round one. Interesting to see Anthony Kim back. Seemed to be playing pretty good for somebody who's not played for 12 years. I believe he's been out of the professional game. He's played golf obviously all the way through that 12 years, but just not in professional events. So he's managed to maintain his skill level, I suppose. Just the rustiness in tournament golf would be there. So it's just interesting to see him back, and there's a bit of a buzz around that, and people are interested to see how he gets on. He was a very popular golfer 12 years ago. And as I said in one of my videos, he got an injury as part of his insurance. With that injury, he got paid out a very large sum of money in the millions, multiple millions. But as part of that payout, he wasn't allowed to play in any professional golf tournaments, otherwise he would forfeit that insurance money. And it would appear that the guys who are running the Live Golf will have paid off that insurance so that he can come back and play. And be back on the scene. I mean, to them, it's going to probably be worth doing that in terms of getting the viewers to watch. Certainly, from what I'm hearing, is the event that I think is next week in Hong Kong. I think it is. He's already doing well in terms of ticket sales. People from he's got a Korean family. I think his mother's from Korea, so there's a lot of people coming over to see that from Korea. It's a big market in the golfing industry, and obviously it's the door opener for the Live Golf people, and Greg Norman being the commissioner. Don't think I've mentioned this in any of my videos. I actually met Greg Norman. I was fortunate to meet him, I'm going to say 4 years ago. I don't know the exact timeline of it. It was before COVID. Greg was the sports ambassador for Vietnam, and I was fortunate to meet him. He came over, went for a meal with one of my colleagues in terms of the business development side of our business, and I got the opportunity to go along to that dinner and spend some time talking to him. And interesting, he's obviously was involved in pushing golf in terms of his own golf courses, but also golf in general and sports in general for Vietnam. Just a very intelligent man, very clever. It was pre-Live Golf, but even then there was, you know, you can see he had big visions for things. And although he's not as popular as he used to be with what seems to be a disruption within the golf industry, he's always wanted to do that. It was a long time ago. He wanted to break away and have a world tour, and so he's yeah, I thought he was a great guy. I did very nice. Had a lot of time for me. We talked a lot about golf and how golf was developing in Vietnam, and how obviously, you know, on his side of course designing, there's the increase in business around the world from different countries wanting golf courses setting up to high international standards, but not only as in tough golf courses, but ones that are playable by the general public, so a mixture of the two. And it's very evident if you play, say, Jumeirah Golf Estates in the UAE, which is a Greg Norman design course, that very much depending on what tee you play off, the trouble or the difficulty of the course changes as it should do, really, with the distance, but also with the placement of some of the trouble, the bunkers, the hazards, etc. And it can, for me personally, if I play off the championship tees, it plays slightly easier than it did from the shorter tees, and that's because I'm a reasonably long hitter to play off the standard tee. I'm not really long enough to play off the championship tee, but in terms of an average golfer, if they played off the regular tee, that trouble wouldn't be in play, so it would be playable. And if they play off the championship tee, it's just too long for them. So it played really well. And so most of his courses are like that. They look fantastic, they play great, but also they're not just for the a champion professional golfer, but for the average golfer as well, which is really what owners want, isn't it? Owners of golf courses don't want to have golf courses that people don't want to play because it's too tough. Interesting, yeah. So that was a nice treat to get to meet him. My friend in the UK actually did some sketch drawings of Greg at some point, and he emailed them me. I actually met Greg 2 days on the run. He came to the golf centre the second day, and we had some lunch there, and I'd printed off these hand-drawn pictures, and he signed them, which was nice, and I sent one back to the guy who actually drew them. He was very impressed. Gave Greg a copy so he could have one. I'd love to know what he did with it in the end. Obviously it's nice to think he's still got it, but sometimes these people are just being kind when something's nice. But it was a really nice drawing, actually. Yeah, it's a nice time, interesting, you know, to see one of the legends of the game, and certainly somebody I idolised as a kid when I was growing up. I had the Greg Norman golf hat, as I think everybody did at some point, and you know, I remember getting golf grips, Golf Pride, Tour Velvet, full cord wraps on my irons because Greg Norman had them on his clubs. And there were so many things I did that was very similar or wanted to be similar to him, and Max Fly golf balls at some point, and yeah, I just tried to emulate who he was, the best golfer in the world at that time, and along with Nick Faldo as well, were heroes of mine, and I've been very fortunate to have met both of them. And in more recent times, I've also been fortunate to meet Tiger Woods, albeit for a very short time, at the Omega Dubai Desert Classic. I was the chief marshal for a few years as part of my job at the golf club, and managed to get to talk to him on the 10th tee before he teed off, and got a nice photograph with him and my friend as well. It was really nice, that So yeah, great. Nick Faldo as well. Met him a couple of times, very briefly, but nice to meet these people. And at the end of the day, they're just human beings who've become particularly good at something. And I've met many famous people over the years, and you realise that pretty quickly, that they're just normal people at the end of the day that just happen to be skilled and worked hard in certain things. And some of them do get adjusted, and become different. But actually, if you get them in a private setting, they are normal people. Obviously in the public eye, sometimes they have to have a persona or a way of being. But at the end of the day, they just work very, very, very hard at their chosen profession, and we're very successful at it. And working in the game myself and being a professional, I can understand how hard you have to work to get good at something. Because I've tried it myself. I didn't really put as much effort in as I wish I had done, but it's not for everybody. Spending time stood on a driving range, getting absolutely nothing out of it apart from improving your game very, 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 very slowly and imperceptibly over a long period of time. Whereas when you go and just play golf with your friends, you're winning and you're seeing instant results and things, but it's only part of it. If you really want to get good, it's the combination of practicing and playing at tournament level against better players than yourself to challenge and push yourself. It's interesting. I've always had conversations over the years with people about whether you're born with gifts, whether it's nature against nurture, and I choose to believe it's nurture, i.e. you've trained. I just think life would be even harder if I believed you were either born with a gift or not. I think, anyone that's ever been good at anything started off not being good at that thing at the start and worked hard at it. You're not born and then instantly you're a great golfer. You had to work at it, and you might be genetically predisposed to certain things. If you're really, really tall, then basketball might be an option, but generally speaking, it's just hard work. It's a desire, it's a passion for the process, not just for the actual game itself. And obviously, as you do well in something, it's the ability to deal with that, both the success and the failure, and all of those things are learned habits, either by yourself directly or through other people. We learn things by watching others, and seeing my daughter growing up, you understand that they pick up so much without realising it, and you don't realise you're teaching it. So you do have to be careful how you bring people up, and it has to be a supportive and positive environment as much as possible. Even when you're trying to explain that they're doing something wrong, or they're not being very well behaved, you've got to do it in a way that's supportive and gives them the confidence and the positivity to do it slightly different next time. And if they're doing something really well, rewarding them in their mind mentally, but also encourage them to keep doing it and keep moving forward. And there's a difference between false praise, isn't there? You've got to be very relevant. If you're telling somebody they're doing really well, it's obviously relevant to their current abilities. Of course, if a child does a nice drawing, it's not going to be the best drawing in the world. It's the best drawing in the world at that time, or that part in their life, and they just need encouraging. And if you do want them to improve, showing them how to improve through encouragement. It's interesting. I wish I had more time to practice my golf and more desire to do so, to stand on a driving range and hit ball after ball after ball. I'm 47 now, technically could have a try for the seniors tour when I'm 50, but with virtually no experience in latter years of playing in tournaments, it's very hard to imagine you could get to that level without playing full-time now. If you're a full-time player, you can transition into that much easier than if you're not a full-time player and you just think, I'll have a go at that. If you're going to just have a go at that, you've got to basically only do that and nothing else. And it's such a tough school to get into, these senior tours, because as you imagine, all the regular tour players, when they reach that age, it's pretty much a straightforward transition into senior tour so they can continue playing. Golf's a game for life generally, and it's very rare anybody actually retires from it. They might retire from big tournaments or events or certain tours because they're not good enough anymore, but they still play their golf, they still enjoy it, albeit it's a different level. You know, Jack Nicklaus, for example, must be very hard to imagine having been one of the best, probably the best golfer in the world, to then now it really is a struggle to play golf. He's got all those memories, but at the end of the day you want to play well now, don't you? And he's probably still got that competitiveness in him. It must be interesting to see the modern golfer and how the level of golf is so much better now than it ever was in a much deeper level in terms of the amount of good golfers that there are. It's not just 1, 2, 20, 30 or whatever, it's hundreds at that high level. But again, it's still only a certain percentage that'll ever make it. Yeah, interesting how the industry's going in terms of the professional game. And you know, there's this rollback, golf ball rollback that's going to happen in a few years. Basically rolling back some of the technology and the distance that the ball is able to go, which will restrict the total distance a golfer will be able to hit it, which I think will affect every golfer in some way, both amateur and professional, because it will come to the amateur game at some point. It just seems strange. I mean, they say rollback. I mean, all they're doing is changing the characteristics of the testing that they do, which in theory will make the ball go shorter. Interesting how the brands deal with that, and will it still be the same major brands that are successful going forward, or will there be some new brands that come along that just happen to be good at making that type of specific specification? Very interesting. And it's certainly a tough discussion point with the amateur golfers. They don't want to hit it shorter, and albeit it's only going to be a small amount, in their minds it sounds like a huge difference, but it's just going to be a small amount, maybe 2-5 yards or whatever. But to somebody who slices the ball, it's not going straight anyway, so you won't see the difference. It's only really if you hit a perfectly straight golf ball that you're going to see a difference between two balls, albeit all things being the same, ball speed and club head speed, etc. If they're the same, then you'll see a shorter distance, but it's very rare we actually hit a golf ball exactly the same every time we hit it. I know that as a good golfer, that centre strikes feel much more different than toes and heels, and having been a coach, realising that getting a golfer to hit it more from the centre of the golf club actually results in more distance than generally anything. And that's why the old adage of, just swing a bit slower came along, because when somebody does swing a little bit slower, they generally hit the centre of the club more often. And it wasn't the swinging slower that increases the distance, it's the centre of the strike. Because of course the faster the club travels, the further the potential is, but it still needs to be hit from the centre. Yeah, interesting stuff. I love these little walks and talks, just generally chit-chatting to myself and talking through things. Some things that may come up in my day, some things that I might just start thinking about as I'm wandering around. Wandering and wondering, as they say, wandering around and wondering about things in life in general. I suppose as you get a little bit older and you realise that it's hard actually, as you get, but my era particularly, you don't realise how much experience you've got in something. It sort of just happens day by day, and eventually maybe you realise it that, I've got over 30 years experience in the golf industry. And boom, there you go. Whereas some of the young guys now, they've got 5 minutes experience or something, and they talk as if they've been in the game for 50 years, and it's just a different level of confidence that's been inbreeded into people. Not inbreeded, has been bred into people over the years. The differences in people and how they do things, massively different. I've always struggled with my confidence when I was younger, and obviously sports enabled me to be more confident. I noticed I was good at certain things, and suddenly your confidence gets big. There's an interesting one. I used to struggle running, and the story my dad tells me, because he's the one that remembers it, was I was running at school. I think it was my mum there, but my dad told me the story. But my mum was there, and I wasn't running particularly great. I was running very much up and down with my feet, and somehow my mum or my dad just said to me, look, you need to go forward, and it opened up something in my mind, and I suddenly became a very fast runner. Interesting that I was not capable of running, and then suddenly I realised how to do it, and I was good at it. And playing rugby and realising I was reasonably good at rugby as well, and then playing golf and realising I could get good at golf. Your confidence grows, and over the years you do things and you get certain rewards for doing certain things, and you achieve milestones in your life, and that, you know, builds a bit of confidence. I've never been a naturally confident person. I've always been somebody who has had to work at it over the years, and you know, that's just the way it is. But yeah, looking at the new breed of people, they're overconfident in some ways, but that can be a good thing if they're doing the hard work, if they're putting in the time, if they're spending the time practicing whatever they're trying to get good at, and that confidence, then it's a great combination. If you're just confident and you don't do any action with it, then perhaps that's not going to work. It'll have a limited benefits. But yeah, interesting, just thoughts coming up in my mind about different things. You know, confidence, you know, if you summarise anything, confidence is everything. If you're confident in something, you can achieve something. You've still got to do the action, you've still got to put the work in, you've still got to actually make it happen, but confidence is key. Confidence comes from doing something well, but confidence also helps you do something well. It's an interesting circle. What comes first? In some cases it's the confidence makes you play better. I'm talking about golf here specifically, but I know if I'm stood over a golf ball and I'm feeling confident that I'm capable of hitting the ball from A to B, I'm going to do it better. If I've only got evidence that I can't do that from the past, then it's hard to be confident, isn't it? You know, you've hit maybe more bad shots than good ones in your life anyway, but as a beginner, you stood over the ball and you're perhaps, you know, not confident you're going to do it well. You're not confident you've got the right move, so you over-control it. And then as you get better, you learn to free up and just allow your natural swing that you've trained to happen. Say natural swing, that's what we call it, but the learned behaviour. You've learned to swing it in that way, and when you just allow it to happen and you're in a relaxed state of mind, that swing will just be the one that comes out. I'm just interested here using this horizontal. It's the same when you take videos. I'm trying to look at the camera, which is over on this side, but it's very easy to look at yourself on the screen. There's my face. Okay, so I'm looking at my face, but you can see my eyes are over here, yeah? It's very difficult, especially when you flip it this way. It won't allow me to do that technically. When you put it in vertical, it's much easier to look at the camera. I always thought that's, you know, the actor's skill of being able to look at a camera is amazing, because at the very least I'm looking at myself on a screen here. Actors generally are just looking at a bank of cameras in the background and some directors and producers, and it's very easy to be distracted. Whereas when you're just doing these vlogs, you're supposed to look, you know, I need to be looking at this camera over here, or is it there, to keep my eyes focused on the thing. Again, nothing really matters at the end of the day. If you look over here, or you look over there, or you look over there, it's just these things that can be improved when I do these videos. And these live videos are more me just talking myself through a few things. The daily video vlog I'm doing at the moment is just, at the moment, specifically about my DJI Osmo Pocket 2 camera, and I've got it with me now because I've just done the video. Lovely little camera. It comes in a pouch. It's very small, as you can see. It's literally the size of my head, height-wise. Very light, very easy to use, very high quality. I've done today's video in 2.7K. I felt that the 1080 wasn't quite good enough, and the 4K file sizes were just too big. So going somewhere in the between and getting the higher res, because when eventually people will watch it in 1080, if it was filmed in the 2.7K, then it's going to be very high quality. You see it live. You see all these artifacts on the screen, the noise, we call that. You know, that's using a mobile phone. It's using this front camera that's obviously facing, and probably only in 720. I don't know what it uploads in, but obviously it's going to look very noisy. If you look at the tree in the background over here, you'll see flickering and stuff going on, because the cameras at the front of these phones are not particularly high res quality. This is the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I think they're slightly better in the more recent version, but still they're not ideal for what they're doing. But when you use something like the DJI, using a very high level sensor, and like I said yesterday, 4K files were coming out 20 gig or so. So you can see it's a lot of data being stored in there. Just give you a little tour around here, just in the little square. Hotel's just over in this direction somewhere. I believe that might be the police station over there, and then you've got a park over here, some government buildings. Nice little area just to come and rest. Some fitness equipment here out on the park. People can do some exercise. There's quite a lot of people walk around this field here just to do some exercise. Nice place to be. So I'm going to leave you all to it, guys. Just wanted to pop on and test the horizontal version of the live YouTube video. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and remember my 3 key mottos, which might be useful for you guys, is get up, get out and get it done. Do something today to improve your tomorrows, and what can be measured can be improved. Welcome to March. See you all again soon. Take care.